I don't know about you, but my wrestle with productivity has been nothing short of a spectacle. On the outside, throughout my career and in my life, a lot of people looked at me and they're like, oh, that guy's a hard worker, you know, consistent, on point, shows up. But the truth, I was wasting so much time. I'd plan my weeks or not with very little intention, and then I would not work my plan. Or because I didn't have a plan, I'd miss deadlines, I'd upset myself. I'd set goals that were so big I didn't even know how to connect them to what I was supposed to do today. I'd put way too much on my plate and I constantly overwhelm myself. And then add on top of that all the distractions. You've got social media, you've got other people's expectations, and good old fashioned procrastination. If that sounds familiar, I'm here to help because today we're going to talk about how to plan your week so you can kick ass, take names every single week moving forward. If you're new here, I'm Christopher. I became an entrepreneur at 20, earned my first million by 25, and now I share the lessons that I learned the hard way to help self-employed and 9-to-5 professionals, maybe such as yourself, to free themselves by taking control of their time, their money, and their mindset so you can start to actually enjoy the life that you're building. When I finally started planning my weeks right, it was a game changer. And like I talked about in this video, we're definitely going to go deep to help break this down so you can do the same. You don't need a fancy planner or app. You just need a piece of paper, some honest reflection, a little bit of time, and a better, simpler way to structure your week, which I'm going to give you today. So let's break this down. Most weekly planning systems fall apart because they don't leave room for reality. They're very time consuming, or they encourage you to overcommit. They don't have any self-reflection. You have to write down too much or it just takes too much time. And then we inevitably fall short because we kind of over plan and under execute, and that's the worst. And let's say we do execute, it's not sustainable. So in the process, we end up burning out trying to do it all, or we avoid it altogether and procrastinate, or we wing it. And neither one of those things work. And I know that because I've tried both. I tried Notion templates, I tried productivity apps, I've tried daily trackers, you name it. Sometimes the system failed me, but most of the time I was the one getting in the way of my own plan. I was just trying to do too much and I was making it way too damn complicated. I had no idea how to align my daily actions with my long-term goals, and I would try to stack every second of my calendar, leaving no space for life to happen. And then I would freak out if it didn't go to plan, and you know how that goes. Here's the truth. Your weekly plan doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to work for you. The goal isn't control, and it isn't to have a perfect plan. It's just to have clarity. It's to have a plan that you feel confident about and that you can work. So today we're going to talk about a system you can use that's going to give you space to reflect, help you to focus on what really matters, and has margin for life's inevitable, oops, I'm running late, or I got this meeting that came up, or whatever. And that's really truly how you build momentum. In other words, that's how you win your weeks. That's why we want to plan our week, is we want to actually win the week without burning out in the process. So I want to get into the system that I use now, one that's helped me to be more productive now than I was ever before in years past. Step one, we've got the Sunday reset. Take notes if you're not already. Everything starts on Sunday. That's when I take 30 to 60 minutes to plan for the week ahead. No phone, no distractions, just me, my journal or a Notion document, and a clear head. And it's not about writing to-dos, it's about reconnecting with your sense of direction. So your actions actually mean something and align with the long-term goals and vision and objectives you have. So here's what I do. First things first is reflect. I want to reflect on the previous week on every Sunday and ask myself some basic questions. What worked last week? What didn't? What threw me off? And where did I win? Because we want to celebrate our wins. That's really important. The second thing I do is that I then review. So we've got reflect and then we review. And this is where I look at my long-term goals and my vision and any projects I have going on, not to recreate the wheel, but just to really understand where I'm headed and how to make this week's schedule and plan align with those long-term objectives. And then the last step is to plan. So this is where we're going to go through and we're going to pre-schedule everything that matters. So personally, I schedule deep work blocks. Those are uninterrupted hours of focus. I schedule my appointments and I schedule personal time. Things like date night and rest should definitely be on your calendar. This process is so simple and it does something powerful. It closes the loop on the past because you've reflected on it and let go of your frustrations, and it gives you the clarity to move forward with intention. So instead of starting your week in reaction mode, you're playing offense. In my opinion, Sunday planning is where the week is won. If I can do that, everything else takes care of itself. It's really hard to be consistent when you're living on default, like you're just kind of waking up Monday morning and winging it. Planning on Sunday is going to help you to have that sense of purpose. And just to make this easier for you, by the way, I've dropped my free planning and goal setting guide in the description. Feel free to grab a copy of that. It breaks down this whole system and more. Let's talk about step 2, and that is 3 weekly milestones. First, I want to talk about how I discovered this. There was a huge shift that I made. I stopped trying to do 30 things every single week. Instead, I make it so simple, I focus on only 3, and I call them milestones. Milestones are really simple. It's a goal plus a project equals a milestone. So it's really simple. I basically just ask myself, what is the outcome, which is the goal for the week I want to aim for, and what needs to get done for me to hit that outcome, or what do I need to work on in that area? I then break those 3 week milestones down into 3 areas. We've got personal. So personal could be a health habit, it could be family priority, it could be something like rest, whatever helps me to grow personally and stay on top of my personal habits in life. That's the first milestone. We've got a personal milestone. Second thing is professional. And professional for me is something related to my business, to my clients, content, or just executing on something. So an example is like finishing a project and, getting a certain amount of clients or posting a certain amount of videos, something along those lines. And then lastly, you've got financial. So financial could be something like updating my budget or making a certain amount of money this week, cutting expenses, just whatever's going to help me to move the needle towards my financial goals. It not only helps to keep me conscious because I'm focused on the personal life and professional life, but also separately on money. And you might be wondering, why just 1 milestone per category? It's because singularity of focus is a superpower. Most people fail because they end up trying to do too much and then they end up doing nothing well. So this system that we're talking about so far gives you structure, but it also leaves space. It creates momentum without the mess of worrying about 15 or 30 different things. Each milestone kind of acts as your North Star for the week. So every day you can ask, am I moving closer to one of these 3 things? And if the answer is yes, you're winning. And if the answer is no, something might need to change, or maybe it's something you don't need to focus your time on, at least for today or right now, this week. And lastly, we've got step 3, and that's GSD. In other words, get shit done. So now that the weekly focus is taken care of, I shift my focus to the day-to-day. Here's what I do every evening that makes life so simple. I plan tomorrow's top 3 tasks or priorities, and I call it a get shit done list. Shout out to Bedros Keuilian, I stole it from him. It's not a full to-do list. You might have other to-dos, but it's the 3 things that matter most that you have to get done to have a successful day. If all else goes sideways, the day goes to shit. If I accomplish these 3 things, the day's okay. I won. It's that simple. And that's why it works, because every single night, I just have to ask myself, what are the 3 things I need to do tomorrow in order to feel like I had a successful day and to be on track for my weekly milestones? And then I block off time in the morning normally to knock out those 3 things before I do any other regular or shallow work or focus on any distractions. So emails, I'm going to look at those later. DMs, looking at them later. Busy work, going to do that later. I do 3 things first, the get shit done list. And I like to do a deep work style. So I have 3 deep work blocks that I knock those things out in. So this daily flow, anchored by this weekly process, keeps me fully aligned, keeps me consistent, it keeps me clear. And in my opinion, that's how you win the day. And if you stack enough days during the week, then you end up winning the week. So that's the system. You want to do a Sunday reset to plan and prioritize for the week. Then you want to have 3 weekly milestones, 1 in personal, 1 in professional, 1 in financial. So you have a clear objective that's simple and easy to focus on. And then you want to break it down into 3 most important tasks each day so you know exactly what to focus on to move the needle forward. Don't forget, if you want my free planning and goal setting guide, it's in the description. And lastly, if this video helped you, like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to get their shit together. And let's win this week on purpose. Much love. I'll see you in the next one, my friend.